Hey guys, Jason here for TheChartGuys. A lot of our members have been interested in 5G stocks, so we are going to start doing some sector coverage, see how much interest there is, and we're going to start by looking at MRVL. MRVL has had a fantastic day. I believe this is due to some upgrade news. Whatever it is, bulls are in absolute control, and they are completely dominating today's action. And my only concern is for tomorrow's upside continuation. We have a lot of overbought conditions. We've got a couple of key resistance tests coming up. So this is almost a Marabuzzo close, meaning bulls had complete control almost into the very end of the day. Just a minor upper wick here. How much was that? Our close was 26.80, a 26.82 high, so 2 cents away from a Marabuzzo close. So a lot of momentum here going into tomorrow. My only concern with that is that we have a lot of room during which we can consolidate and see 4-hour higher lows. Our last 4-hour low wasn't until, well, way down here at $24 psychological. So we can come all the way down to that level and still be in a 4-hour uptrend and a daily uptrend. We need to establish a base of support. Where we do it, how we do it, that will be determined by price action. But we need to be aware that we are overbought on the 4-hour time frame. We're near overbought in the daily time frame, and it doesn't get much better on the hourly. So expect to see some pullback and some consolidation before we see a lot of upside continuation. On the hourly time frame, we have a resistance at 26.89, 27.08, and then 27.62 above that. We did have a very brief period of consolidation with a low on the hourly time frame at 26.47. Best case scenario for the bulls tomorrow would be to open up, get resistance at 26.89, pull back, establish a higher low above 26.47, and allow these RSIs to cool off before making a continued upside attempt for longer term moves. So a lot of interest, a lot of hype on MRVL right now. Very exciting trading, and we'll see what we're able to do tomorrow. If we can get over 27.64, that would be profound for long-term positions and long-term interest in MRVL. Next stock we're going to take a look at is XLNX. This one is not quite as bullish as MRVL was, but we do have some potential here. We had our low at 89.22. We've established a higher low on the daily time frame, so that is good, and that's a first foundation for an overall trend change. We do have resistance at 98.86. Bulls are over some other key resistance levels, but we are seeing profit taking on today's candlestick. So if bulls are in full control, as we would like them to be, this should not be the case. We are seeing some weakness. It's not to say we're not going to see continued strength, but we're going to be a little more hesitant than we would be if we saw a nice, strong Marabuzzo close, signaling that those bulls are in control to the very last moments of the day. So on the daily time frame, we need to get over 98.86 to have an overall daily trend change. We are still in a daily downtrend until bulls are able to lock that higher low, higher high situation in. That confirms the trend change. Until that is done, we are simply looking at lower highs underneath 98.86. So bulls have some proving to do on the daily time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, here's a nice rounded bottom carving out that support. We need to see some consolidation because we're very close to overbought, 67.52. This is a makings for a nice cup and handle type formation, which is really, in this case, going to be focused on this right-hand side. And I'd like to see a couple bars, maybe 3, 4, giving that a nice bull flag type shape, showing that consolidation, but maintaining that strength by having the bulls up in the area of 96.85. That would be a nice potential setup. And then looking, of course, for a break over 98.86 to set in that daily higher high that we talked about. Here are the bulls on the hourly time frame. Nice upside move, sideways consolidation, respecting that EMA 5. So that's going to be important for us. If we lose EMA 5 in tomorrow's action, that will be the first sign that there's going to be some further downside. Because we've maintained that for the last 2 trading days, we want to see more of the same. We want to see a little bit of an upside move, then that sideways consolidation giving us a 4-hour bear flag, or sort of bull flag, and then looking for a break over 98.86. 97.80 is going to be an important level for us in tomorrow's trading action. Should bulls decide to make an attempt, that is not a bad place for a little bit of pullback. We're still going to be overbought. Current RSI is 72.24 on the hourly time frame. So a nice move to the upside. Rejection from that would set up a nice pattern that we can use for those consolidation opportunities. But overall, some potential here. We do need to see these overall trend changes change for the bulls on the daily time frame. If we fail to break 97.80, we're going to be looking for a move to the downside and potentially setting up perhaps a weekly equilibrium, but it's going to look more elegant on the daily time frame. So that's what I'll be watching for on XLNX. Next stock we're going to look at is ADI, Analog Devices Inc. This is in an overall daily downtrend. We're seeing lower highs pretty consistently, and this is the area during which we're going to expect to see a lower high. Anything under 113.41 is going to be a continuation of this pattern. So if I'm going to be looking for longer term entries, I need to break above 113.41. We've already tried to establish a higher low by holding above 104.58 on the candlestick on the 31st. So getting over 113.41 will be a confirmed trend change on the daily time frame, and then locking another higher low or establishing that consolidation pattern, which is going to be a little bit of icing on the cake here. But so far, until that is done, we are in a lower high, lower low situation. Today's candlestick is a relatively average volume, indecision candlestick, long upper and lower wicks, so no real control one way or the other. Nice to see a gap up here in continuation from yesterday's nice green candlestick, or I should say Friday's green candlestick, but today's doesn't show a lot of direction. And if we fail to break above 112.26, it's likely we are going to see a downswing and try to either establish a higher low above the 31st low of 107, or what is that, 104.95, or perhaps a breakthrough that with a failed support test and just resume that overall daily downtrend. So a lot hanging in the balance right now on this daily indecision. Let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame, see who's in control right now. We got a high over 110.99, so the 4-hour bulls are in control. We do have a 4-hour uptrend in place, which is good, and that is what we need to see before that carries over into the daily. Not quite overbought, but getting there. 62.44 RSI on the 4-hour time frame. So what needs to happen now is bulls need to establish a higher low somewhere against maybe EMA 26 would be an ideal place. 109.49, probably around 109.80 tomorrow in the first few candlesticks. Maybe get ourselves a nice little bull flag, break 112.26, and then the goal, as always, right now is 113.41. Failure to do that, we'll see some downside moves. On the hourly time frame, this is a little more consolidation than I'd like to see. I'm going to treat this as a bit of a bull flag. I'd like to see more contained consolidation and then more strength. This is too many candlesticks for me to be considering it as a longer term potential upside move. We are consolidating. Our RSI is under 70, but this is not quite something that I am happy with. I'm basically filling in the blanks here, looking at this big flagpole. I'd like to see maybe 4 or 5 candlesticks containing that action, and then some bull moves. So far, bulls are just not showing up, and we're setting lower highs and lower lows, giving ourselves a very established 15-minute downtrend, and you can see that here. So the very first thing the bulls have to do is get out of this 15-minute downtrend, because if it continues any further, we're going to be looking at an hourly downtrend, losing support. We have quite a ways to go before we can possibly find our last hourly higher low, which, depending on how you look at it, is going to be 108.46, or possibly, if you're being generous, 108.98. So a little bit of a balanced situation here on ADI. No clear direction one way or the other. Bulls really need to break 113.41, or alternatively establish a higher low above 104.58. Taking a look at GLW, Corning Inc. This chart is a little bit choppy, and there's not a lot of clarity here for me, regardless of what time frame I'm looking at. On the weekly time frame, I don't see a lot of information that I can utilize. We did break over 30.53. We didn't do it with any convincing action, and the following week was very bearish on big volume. Looks like it's earnings related. And now we are consolidating between our EMA 26 and our EMA 5 and 12 on the weekly time frame. No real direction here. Very similar on the daily time frame. No matter how we look at it, we are just bouncing around between some key levels. So we need to have trend, we need to have direction in order to utilize charts for our advantage. 4-hour time frame, it's a 4-hour downtrend. We are looking at lower highs pretty consistently, and we were in an uptrend until we lost that lot with the break of 29.66. Now we have 29 psychological as support, and this is a pre-market level for us. The only thing that has any sort of clarity at all right now is this hourly downtrend. Here's our lower highs, lower lows. So in order to break out of this, bulls need to stay above 29.41, or alternatively break 30.16 tomorrow and get a high over 30.42. That will allow them to build out this hourly pattern, get into a little bit of an hourly uptrend, and try to carve out some sort of semblance of stability in what has otherwise been a really, really choppy market. So not a lot of direction on GLW, not the one I would pick for my day trade situations. And until more clarity is developed and this chart evolves a little bit, I would be looking elsewhere for some trades. Right now, the only thing that would have me interested would be a very, very strong break over 30.16, consolidation against 30.42, and then a resistance test around 32 psychological. All right, the next stock we're going to look at is AVGO, Broadcom Inc. 3 very, very strong days in a row, coming up against a key resistance, 305.75 from June 28th. Beyond that, we do have another resistance at 307.77. Then nothing on the daily to 323.30, 323.20 correction. So, a lot of potential here, a lot of momentum, good volume, but as we know, we need to consolidate. We can't move this fast without establishing a base of support, because if we do, we're liable to simply fall down just as quickly. So what are we going to look for? Well, first of all, we need to check our RSI levels. On the daily time frame, we're at 67.51. So it's possible, unlikely, but possible we'll see another green day tomorrow. But that would mean that the bulls are very, very overextended and very tired on the daily time frame, and no doubt even more so on smaller time frames. That makes us expect and desire that daily consolidation. And it can look similar to the situation with 1, 2, 3 big candlesticks. Then we just go sideways for a while, establish a higher low in the weekly, and then we see upside continuation. So we've blown through a couple key levels, but now we're going to look for consolidation. On the 4-hour time frame, our RSI is 79.72. The last little brief consolidation we've had is 293.67. So it's possible that the bulls can come all the way down to that level, set a 4-hour higher low, and then continue. That would be the best case scenario, the healthiest scenario for long-term positions in AVGO. The likelihood that we're just going to continue going straight up is not very high. So we're going to be looking for these hourly and 4-hour higher lows as entry opportunities if we are very, very interested in long positions in AVGO. That's the sort of thing that we want to find. Hourly time frame, we are extended 82.52. And we have had an even more brief consolidation opportunity, just ever so slight, probably a 15-minute level at 358. So it's unlikely, I would think, if we get a strong pullback, that we're going to hold that level. I think that 4-hour level is much more likely. That would fill a little bit of our pre-market after hours gap here. And if we came all the way down like that on the daily time frame, it gives us that nice opportunity, allows us to set some key 4-hour levels, but also gives us an opportunity to close this gap, to fill those nice support levels out, build that base of support that we need for that long-term action. Hourly time frame, very, very extended. So let's see what the bulls are able to do. I don't expect the same sort of action that we saw today tomorrow. It would be nice. And if we blow through 305, 75 and 307.77, I will be impressed, but I will be stocking and waiting for these consolidation opportunities for any sort of long-term entry in stocks like AVGO. Hey guys, taking a look at CIEN. No real interest in this one for me. We are in a clear weekly downtrend. We're in a clear daily downtrend. We have a double bottom at 35.85 if we're using extended hours. The only reason I would be interested in looking at CIEN is if we get a break above 37.24. That would look at changing this daily trend with a new higher high above 37.24. And we need to establish a higher low above 35.85. No real interest in CIEN until this trend changes. If you're looking for long-term entries, at the very least, you got to have your daily time frame behind you. Otherwise, you're just trading in chop, and you need a trend to make money in this market. All right, looking at ACIA weekly time frame. On this weekly time frame, we are very clearly in a nice, strong weekly uptrend. Resistance at 67.49. So a break over that will have me interested, and that will have established a weekly higher low at 62.57 in this new area following this massive breakup. So that's what we like to see. We like to see these higher highs. We like to see support established. EMA 5 has been respected for several weeks now, going back to July. So things are looking healthy. This is nice consolidation, and we can see that we are comfortable at 65.94, but cautious because obviously we are close to being overbought there. 69.57 is another resistance time on this weekly time frame. On the daily, things looking good. We had a little bit of a tightening range here. We are establishing higher highs. We've resumed the daily uptrend with a break over 65.33. That was the key signal. Consolidation day to day. Let's see what the bulls are able to do tomorrow. Resistance of today's high of day is going to be key, 66.47. On the daily time frame, not quite overbought. On the 4-hour, we are looking to establish a higher low above 64.95. This is nice, perfect consolidation. New higher low, then a break above 66.47 will continue this 4-hour uptrend. On the hourly time frame, we can see that we are consolidating after being overbought. trying to establish that 4-hour higher low, looking for that trend change, still above our EMA 26 and facing EMA 5 as resistance. So the best case scenario for us tomorrow would be for these bulls to establish a higher low with the low of this candlestick at 65.71, see some strength, break above 66.47, and continue this 4-hour uptrend. I would be interested in a position above 66.47 with the bulls showing up and proving that they're ready to continue after this brief consolidation.